Hi everyone, I hope I'm audible. Welcome back to Weekends with Champions. We are on the sixth episode and we have a six-star coder with us. He's an international Grandmaster, intern at Rubrik and a top educator on CodeChef. Your very own NM from Bhopal. Nishchay Manwani, welcome to Weekends with Champions. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling fine. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for having me. I'm great and I am excited for this 1 hour event where there will be many great questions asked to us.
Absolutely, we are excited as well. We are going to pick your brains for the next 1 hour. But before that, we want to know a bit about yourself, Nisha. If you may tell us something about you growing up. I believe you grew up in Bhopal. Tell us
Hmm.
something about the schooling, your family. Would love to know that.
Uh, I didn't exactly grow up in Bhopal. I lived before 12th, 4 or 5 years in Bhopal. My birthplace was Bhopal, but the majority of my life has been spent in Rajasthan, having a lot of
Right.
transfers. Both my father and mother were working. Finally,
Okay.
though, when, like in my teenage phase, when I was in Bhopal,
Mhm.
I was preparing for JEE since 10th, and I like most of the time was devoted there after 10th. Before
Right.
that, I studied in schools like Jawaharlal Nehru School, and the life in Bhopal has been great, and my schooling has been great and as well.
Right. So before Bhopal, you said your parents had a transferable job, so you
Hmm.
did get to see a lot of places in India.
Yeah, I went to like mostly Rajasthan. Yeah, I lived in a small town named as Bhanswada, and
Right.
it is close to Udaipur in Rajasthan. I lived in
Right.
Udaipur as well. I lived in
Nice.
Jaipur, and I lived in Indore for a few times. So
Right.
yeah, I have seen 4 or 5 cities while growing up.
Excellent. That sounds like a lovely childhood. Uh, you mentioned that you're preparing for JEE right after 10th.
Right.
So would that be your main aspiration after 12th, or was there something else?
Like my main aspiration after 12th.
Yeah. What were you looking for? What were you preparing for after your after finishing your schooling?
After finishing my schooling, after
Yeah.
I have given my JEE and got selected into IIT Guwahati.
Right.
After that, I didn't have many aspirations. I was open to ideas. I had some naive dreams, like maybe I could be a streamer or a YouTuber, or maybe I could be a
Right.
game developer for Valve or some company like that. But as I discovered the CSE branch more, I understood
Right.
that maybe these dreams were too naive. There are bigger dreams out there.
I think you would have made an excellent YouTuber as well.
Nah, there were some problems with that. I mean, I was preparing during my college year, and I got addicted to competitive programming fast, and discovered that that is much more enjoyable than presenting.
Right. So now, you mentioned competitive programming. Let me ask
Hmm.
you, when and how exactly did you start CP? Did you have any chance to start CP during your school days?
No, I didn't know anything about coding during my school. I
Okay.
had some, CSE classes, but those CSE classes were mainly basic, like asking what is a computer, what is a mouse, stuff like that before
Right.
that. And maybe I learned HTML, I think, but that was also taught in a rudimentary way. I never explored on my own in the coding field.
Mhm.
Uh, the only way I got to know about CB was when I got to college.
Right.
We had our CSC orientation in IIT Guwahati, and
Mhm.
one of our seniors named Manan Gupta, told us about this amazing thing that is competitive programming. He's very passionate about CP, and he told us about his passion. And
Right.
I started CP basically because of him. And then I got addicted to this competitive field. I generally get addicted to many competitive things before starting CP as well.
Yeah.
I used to play video games like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or before that, I used to, do speed solving, which
Mhm.
is solving a Rubik's Cube as fast as you can. So
Mhm.
I have, a competitive nature to me, and
Right.
I get addicted to these things that, where you can basically evaluate a performance with others.
Right. 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 So you started competitive programming when you were in college.
Right.
Like most of us in India who do not
Hmm.
start competitive programming in school,
Hmm.
but but then you got pretty good at it pretty soon.
Yes. That I would, contribute to my like logical mind, or my mathematical background. I have been good at maths for a long time, and when I started CP, it seemed just natural to me, and I
Right.
just started practiced a
Mhm.
lot during the initial
Right.
first period. I was
Yeah.
highly motivated, mainly because I wanted to exceed my teammates at first, batchmates at first. There were some
Yeah.
batchmates that I wanted to compete against. I quickly got to the top of my batch, and then I started competing against my college mates,
Yeah.
other than my batchmates, my
Right.
seniors. And After some time, I got to that as well, and then I set my goal as India 1, and
Right.
I have been trying to get that goal for a few times. I reached it at one point, but I'm not all India rank 1 right now.
You will be soon. But then you have an inherent competitive nature, and that must
Right.
have helped you a lot.
Yeah, that helped me get motivated a lot, right?
Right.
Because mainly the problem when you're starting out with CP is a motivation problem. Sometimes you face failure, and sometimes you are just not getting into the competitive feel of it. But that
Yeah.
passion for improving just made me really devote my time to it and really understand all of the things that
Mhm.
are in competitive programming.
Yeah. Nishchay, right now we are, in a lockdown, nationwide lockdown. We are in the middle of a pandemic. Everyone's preparing on their own from home and online courses, of course.
Right.
How is Nishchay Manwani, going on about his, CP journey during this situation?
During the situation.
Yeah.
Well, regarding my CP journey, well, I have been practicing a lot more during the previous lockdown, and I've kind of stopped for now. I'm taking a break just because I was kind of facing a wall.
Right.
The best thing to do in such a situation is to take a break for a short while.
Mhm.
Going to start CP again, right? I'm not totally getting bored out of CP. I still really much enjoy it.
Right.
But still, yeah, that has been my CP journey during this pandemic. Other than
Mhm.
that, the pandemic has been kind of bad to all of us. But
Yeah.
yes, I have managed and been fortunate enough that nothing has happened to my family.
Excellent. Good to know that.
Right.
Um, Talking about your CP journey and especially your profile on CodeChef,
Hmm.
there's not much written about you on the about section, the bio section, but just
Right.
one word. It's Astolfo, if I'm saying it right.
Hmm.
Would you share the meaning of it?
Well, this is not very relevant to computer programming, but this is a character that I really like. There is this
Right.
Japanese franchisee known as Fate. Think
Right.
of like Pokemon, like how there are many video games, many series. Similarly, with
Mhm.
Fate, many video games initially started, and then many
Right.
like TV series. And there is this one certain video game slash series called Fate Apocrypha, and it has
Right.
a character known as Astolfo, and I really like his character design. So
Right.
that character is mainly my profile picture in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's Astolfo.
That's actually, it may not be directly related to CP, but there are a
Hmm.
lot of fans of Mr. Manwani looking at you right now. They would love to, have a peek into your head,
Hmm. Right.
and that gives us some insight.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your college, Nishchay.
Hmm.
IIT Guwahati. What was the coding culture in IIT Guwahati like, or what is it like right now?
My senior batch really improved the coding culture for IIT Guwahati. Right,
Right.
there were many great computer programmers in my just senior batch, like MBRC. He's been doing CP for 7 years. There is also Manan Gupta, the most intelligent person that I personally know, and and many other great coders as well. They improved the coding culture last year, and then our batch came, and our batch have a lot of great coders as well.
Mhm.
No, not only involving me, but my friends. A lot of my friends are really motivated in computer programming as well, and have their dreams set on ICPC World Finals. So with this passion, the coding culture of IIT Guwahati is improving. I would say
Mhm.
when I joined in IIT Guwahati, it was certainly among the top 10. It might
Mhm.
have been brought to top 8 or top 7 in India. It is not the
Right.
best. It is not IIT Roorkee or IIT BHU levels, but it is certainly reaching there.
Right. Uh, Just talking about IIT Guwahati, I was going through Quora, researching about you. There was this 2019 answer
Hmm,
about IIT Guwahati, which says that
hmm.
the best coder in the campus is Nishchay Manwani. What do you
Right.
have to say about that?
That is a little subjective. If you're looking only on the rating points, yes, I am the best coder. If you're only considering the achievements, but
Mhm.
personally, I think the best coder I know in IIT Guwahati is my senior MBRC.
Right.
Uh, I have the talent for abstract thinking and logical thinking when
Mhm.
I do not know anything about the question before. But exactly opposite is MBRC. He has a lot of knowledge about computer programming. He knows about a lot of data structures that even I haven't even heard of, and
Right.
he's really talented in that area. He is in favorite to qualify to ICPC World Finals because of that.
So, would you say that rating is not only yardstick to determine how good a competitive programmer is?
No, I would not say that. That of course matters, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of other things. Rating
Right.
is more like a continuous judgment of how you perform in regular contests, and there are stuff like Code Jam or ICPC, which are more about uh, short duration of great CP performance. In those kind of areas, I generally falter because I do not handle pressure that great, and I do not have a lot of knowledge about lots of different areas about CP. So
Right.
sometimes I'm not that stable when it comes to large contests.
Right.
There are many other stable coders which do not have such a unstable graph on their profiles, and
Mhm.
I would say that those coders are good in their own way, and
Mhm.
I'm like good in this way. Like there are different areas where you can be good at.
Excellent answer. I'm sure that's reassuring for a lot of coders who are watching
Hmm.
right now, because we
Right.
all have our shortcomings and our
Hmm.
advantages.
Right.
Talking about, you are from, IIT Guwahati. That's a reputed college. But then,
Hmm.
would you say that IITians and the triple IITians have an edge over the rest when it comes to competitive programming?
Uh,
Considering the infrastructure or the learning module.
well, yes, but actually no.
Yeah.
The IITians or triple IITians have an edge in competitive programming because they have a community that they can rely on. This community lets them helps them get aware about competitive programming, helps them motivate to do competitive programming, and acts as a discussion forum through which you can talk to competitive programming if you are facing trouble somewhere. But
Mhm.
if you're motivated enough, if you're really motivated about competitive programming and really
Right.
dedicated to it, all of these are not a problem, right? The motivation problem is just subsided, and
Right.
there are many great online discussion forums as
Exactly.
well, like CodeChef
Yeah.
Discuss, or there are many servers on Discord where you can talk about competitive programming. So these
Right.
problems are not real problems per se. If you
Right.
are really dedicated, you can excel in competitive programming, even uh, even after being from a third college, or even being homeschooled, you can still perform in competitive programming.
Right. 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 Yeah. You mentioned online communities, you are one of the educators on Learn CP
And
with
academy,
CC on an academy. How
right?
has the experience been as an educator on this project?
It has been great. I felt great, like interacting with a lot of students who are starting out and learning CP, and yeah, it was just a great experience overall. I got to learn how to, present different stuff, and that was the area where I was weak at. I didn't, you know, nearly knew how to present stuff that well, but that is a thing that I have improved very well on in with this project. And of course, the learners have got to know many different things as well.
Right.
Many learners of mine have been really happy with my classes, so that I'm happy to hear that.
Right. Right. So, did you observe anything while teaching on the online platforms? That
Hmm.
is there something that is missing in classroom situations in colleges that can where the gap can be filled in such courses?
Right. In college classroom settings, when you're let's say you are attending a course on DSA in your college,
Right.
That is mainly theory based, right? It is not so much
Right.
practical. It does not help you learn how to crack in internship tests or placement tests, the thing most college students are preparing in computer programming for, or even qualify for CodeJam or ICPC.
Mhm.
In my DSA course, the professor that taught us DSA was one of the best professors in our college. His name is R. Inkulu. I really respect him, but and I really learned a lot from his course. But
Mhm.
that kind of knowledge is only useful if I am, thinking about going in the research side of DSA. It
Right.
isn't so much helpful in, improving my Codeforces rating. I mean, uh, during internship or placement tests, generally people do not ask that. Prove the lower bound for the height of a red black tree. That
Right.
kind of
Right.
questions are just not
Right.
asked.
Right. Right. So, for practical implementation, maybe the college setting is not the right place, and that
Perfect.
is why people need to,
Hmm.
get that extra push.
Right.
Nishchay, this it's time to reveal some secrets.
Hmm.
What are your top five favorite books on CP or DSA?
Uh, well, I'm not even sure that I know five books. I think I know only three books, to be honest.
All right. Top three.
Uh, yeah, top three books. The book that I study from, that I have completed, is CP Handbook by Anita Lakerson. It is available on CSES.fi site. It is great. It has 30 chapters and it has the least amount of pages out of the three books that I'm going to say. That is why I picked that one. Right.
Mhm.
And yeah, the content is great. There are not a lot of practice problems in that book. That is its only flaw. If you also
Right.
need some practice questions to go along with every chapter, then the second book is perfect for you, which is Competitive Programming 3 by Stephen Hallam and Felix Hallam. That is a
Mhm.
book that most of the competitive programmers follow, right?
Right.
And it is all, I think it is 500 or 600 pages, and it is formatted very well. And with every chapter ending, it has a lot of questions from online judges, which you can directly go and practice on.
Mhm.
And the third book is purely on DSA. It does not
Right.
involve competitive programming. It's the same as studying only theory. It does not really help you in competitive programming, as it does not give you a practical feel of how to implement those things, right?
Mhm.
And this is the most famous book on DSA, which is known as CLRS,
Mhm.
or known as Conman. It is of 1,300 pages, I think, and it's really long. And this is the book that is generally referred to when you're attending a course on DSA in college.
Right.
It is great as well, but it's just not practical enough to follow for
Right.
competitive programming. I think if you're starting out with competitive programming, the second book, which is the Competitive Programming 3 by Stephen Hallam and Felix Hallam, that would be the best for you. Or you can refer to the CP handbook as well if you are fine with the lack of problems.
Right. I hope everyone who's watching noted down the names of the books. In case you
Hmm.
didn't, there's going to be a recording of this
Wait a second.
conversation.
Uh, I think you got the name for the CP handbook wrong. Let me just link it real quick. It's
Yeah.
cscs.fi/book/book.pdf. You can find the book there. It's freely available. Freely available. The Competitive Programming 3 is not freely available, but this one is. So let me actually put this in the YouTube chat as well.
Thanks. And just in case you missed the names, you can always access the recording of this video. We are 15 minutes into the conversation, so that's your time signature to find the
Right.
conversation. Uh, we're gonna have to move on with the conversation. This is regarding your Code Jam 2020 performance. You ranked
Hmm.
21st in the whole world, which is a great feat to achieve. Uh, could you take us through the exact process of preparation, to achieve that
To
rank?
achieve this is such a great rank in Kurjam.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I achieved this rank in round one. That rank doesn't really, reflect the actual rank. My rank in round three, in which most of the competitors are really, focused and really trying to get into the top 25. In
Right.
that, my rank was 267, which is still really good, but I think that is much more of a clear indicator of what my rank in Kojam was.
Yeah.
Uh, but still, the preparation to go through core jam is not much more different than preparation of any other contest.
Mhm.
That is, you do not prepare for it. right? You just let the culmination of the experience that you since when you have started competitive programming guide you when you're doing the contest. uh, there might be a short period of time before the contest you can give for preparation, and that is just to relax. What I
Yeah.
do personally is when I have a big contest that I have to get focused for, and I know that the first question is going to be easy and I have to solve it quick, then
Mhm.
I generally listen to like heavy metal songs, or
Nice.
like hype songs, like
Mhm.
You Say Run from Boku no Hero Academy, or songs like
Mhm.
that which get me hyped just
Right.
5 or 6 minutes before the contest. And
Right.
I'll let the adrenaline that has built up from that song guide me through
Mhm.
the first problem and just solve that quickly because of it.
Excellent. What's your favorite heavy metal band?
What's it? Sorry?
Favorite heavy metal band?
Heavy metal. I say heavy metal, but I'm not sure exactly on the band. Well, there are two songs that I really listen to. One is Repentier, and the other is Hellwalker. I'm not exactly sure what bands are those from. I
Okay.
do know both of these are Doom OSTs. Doom is a video game, and the OST is
All
really
right. All
great.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I
So
do
the
listen to
kind of
them.
music that basically pumps you up and gets you in the mood.
Yeah, that's the kind of music that I listen to.
Nice. Nishchay, coming back to
Hmm,
CP,
right.
uh, what would you advise? Your top 5 tips for any upcoming coder to prepare for any big CP contest.
To prepare for any big CP contest, right?
Yeah,
First
top
of all,
five.
there is
Yeah.
top 5 tips. Uh, well, I have to break it into short term and long term preparations. Short term preparations I've already talked about. The tip
Right.
is to listen to music or relax just before a contest.
Mhm.
And for long term preparation, there are a lot of things.
Right.
First of all, you have to practice a lot. First of all, know about what are the kind of questions that are going to be present in the CP contest,
Mhm.
and according to that percentage, maybe 4 out of 9 problems are on DP in that contest. Then you go
Yeah.
back and like practice around 40% of your problems on DP. You do a
Mhm.
lot of practice like that, and also you practice the last year questions on that CP contest. That
Right.
usually helps a lot. And you also give virtual contest on that contest. Just make sure, like, make believe that you are giving a contest like you would normally give a contest, right?
Right.
Give yourself a time limit, like maybe if it's ICPC, give yourself a time limit of 3 hours or 5 hours, and
Right.
get all your teammates together, compete, solve the questions of the past year, just like if you were giving this contest live, and
Mhm.
evaluate a performance based on that. That is also a great thing that you can do. And of course, theory should be present as well. You have to learn a lot of different data structures and algorithms to be able
Right.
to make sure that you are sitting well prepared in big contests.
Right. Uh, so when you said, try to find out the kind of questions that might be coming on the contest, what would you recommend is the perfect way to find that or go about with the resources?
Like if it's a really big CP contest like ICPC, there are many documented things. Like
Right.
in the second book that I mentioned, which is
Mhm.
Competitive Programming 3 by Stephen Hallam.
Right.
In that book, it is already given the distribution. The distribution is already given of what kind of questions are from what tags, right?
Mhm.
But if it's some other CP contest like Code Jam or Kickstart, then you can
Right.
just review the past questions and learn
Mhm.
from that on what the distribution likely is. Or you can search up the net for some answers from expert coders as well. Or you can,
Right.
of course, ask some you can ask someone that have given these contests in the past.
Right. I hope that was helpful for you guys. There was some really pearls of
Hmm,
wisdom being shared by Nishchay Manwani on preparing for competitive programming.
right.
Uh, Nishchay, we would love to know who are the top 5 CT players in the world right now, according to you.
Well, The first is obvious. It is tourist genetical switch. He is from Russia, and he's literally greatest of all time in computer programming. I don't think anybody has come before him that is close to him, and I don't think anybody is going to come that is going to be as great as he is right now. But
Right.
after that, there are a lot of great CV players that are close to him as well. There is Bank, there is Raid Bush, there is other person, Peter, and
Right.
well, there is Amnik as well. And the great thing about Amnik is he not only is a like a top 5 CP performer in the world right now, but he's also really active in the community. He's,
Right.
I think, one of the admins on CodeChef, where he helps curate the problems for long
Right.
challenges or other contests. So
Mhm.
that is a great thing that he's doing for the community as well.
Mhm. Uh, what do you think makes tourist the way he is?
Well, a lot of genetics is involved, surely, but other than that, 9 years of hard work and 9 years of practice. Just focusing on this one field, computer programming field and data structures and algorithms. That
Right.
amount of practice, and not only just rough practice, but systematic practice of all the things, and systematic study, and not wasting any time during those 9 years even. That
Mhm.
all of that has helped him get to get him where he is now.
Right. When you say 9 years of focusing on just one thing, do
Hmm.
you think that is practical or recommended?
No, I mean, when focusing on one thing, I didn't mean that he was, devoting his entire 9 years to one thing. I will say that I have devoted my 2 years to computer programming in my college,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
that is not true, right? I have given short breaks at times, and I have been doing other things as well. So
Mhm.
that might be the same case with tourists, right? He,
Right.
has been active in computer programming for a long time,
Right.
but I don't think he was active all of the time, like giving 6 to 7 hours per day in computer
Right.
programming.
Right. Right.
He might have had breaks. He might have had, rush days where he might devote his whole week to computer programming at one
Mhm.
time, and then he might just, leave it for 1 month maybe. Going on and off with computer programming like that really helps you get better at it.
Right. You also mentioned genetics. I would love to hear your view on that. How would that help?
Uh, well, that is a little, I don't know, uh, uh, I guess controversial topic, but I think that of course his hard work and practice have made him what he is, but
Mhm.
he must have some kind of a brain that really helps him. First of all, he must have a really high IQ, and
Right.
second of all, he must have the type of brain that helps him to solve anything, to think abstractly and to solve
Right.
anything in terms of coding, right? That kind of abstract thinking and logical thinking is required when you're doing computer programming.
Right.
It's
So,
not that you cannot do computer programming without those. You can still do that. Like an example, MBRC. He isn't so great with abstract thinking, but he's still a really good computer programmer. There are different types of computer programmers in the
sure.
world, so do not get demotivated if you think your brain is not for computer programming. But
Right.
yeah, that must have helped you a lot.
We are in conversation with a high IQ personality himself.
Uh,
Um,
I'm not sure about that. I haven't tested it actually.
the entire community can vouch for that. But we are not going to rely on just genetics. Maybe there is a way to be as good as Nishchay Manwani, and we are going to learn it from him himself.
Right.
So here's a hypothetical question for you, Nishchay.
Hmm.
If someone just had 1 month to prepare for a big internship, uh, what is a 4 week roadmap or a game plan that you would suggest them week by week?
Uh, if you had only 4 weeks left for your internship test or placement test, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Then I would suggest you to first of all give up development or any other ideas that you have in mind.
right,
You are will n- If you try to go into development or try to go into different fields, that is just going to be a downfall. You have
right.
very little time to prepare for an internship, right?
Mhm.
So first of all, I would advise you to construct a schedule for yourself of what are the things that you have to prepare on. There is not only competitive programming in the last 4 weeks. There are a lot of different things as well, like object-oriented programming and data structures and operating system. These are some competitive programming fundamentals that you have to revise on. These are not really subjects that you have to devote 1 or 2 years in. These are
Mhm.
the topics that you generally cover in 1 or 2 weeks before the internship test. Uh, but apart from that, in competitive programming, you have to practice on the classical problems and the classical puzzles that are generally asked in interviews. These classical problems or classical puzzles can be found on sites like LeetCode or InterviewBit.
Mhm.
These classical problems are much more based on implementation, like reversing a linked list or constructing a BST. Problems
Right.
like that, which are a little more theory based, a little more classical, these are the type of
Mhm.
problems that are generally asked in interviews. So try
Mhm.
to prepare on them. And if you have a friend that is willing, then of course do try a mock interview, because that really helps with the interviews. That is to have a practice of how to react when you are having an interview, right? So absolutely try to have a mock interview before.
Right. That was a very detailed, course and game plan from Mr. Manwani. I hope you paid attention to that. We are going to take some live questions from the comment section right now before we go back to the questions that we have already received from the community. Uh,
Hmm.
is there anything that any question that you want to take up from the comment section?
I have not been following the comment section right now. Let me look at
Okay,
that.
Bapi Roy is asking, I'm now at the end of my second year. Is it too late for me to start CP and do well in CP or ICPC? Uh,
If
is it
possible,
possible?
how to continue myself?
Yeah.
Uh, well, for ICPC, you still have your third year and fourth year, right? You might not aim for world finals, but you can aim for like Asia West finals and on-site. That's a great achievement as well. So you can still start CP and prepare for ICPC. And if you are at the end of your second year, I think your internship tests are going to start very soon. So first
Mhm.
prepare for that.
Right.
Only considering the classical problems as I talked about. Try to focus on them from interview or lead code. And after that, you still have your third year before your placement test, right? You still have 1 year uh, on which you can just devote your time on CP and improving yourself so that you will be a great pick for the placement interviews. So do not get demotivated. You still have 1 year on which you can really practice and give your all to be great in placements.
Right. So it's not too late for you, Bapi Roy, if you just follow
Right.
Nishchay's advice. Uh, Mohit Gambar, who is in his first year, he
Hmm.
says, "What's the ideal roadmap for me?" I think he
Mohit
has a lot
Gambar.
of time in hand, and there is a lot
Hmm.
that he can do, but you couldn't guide better.
Yeah, if you're in first year and only 2 months in, then you have a lot of time, of course. Many people, when they ask about the roadmap of competitive programming, I have heard this question a lot: what is the ideal roadmap and what not? Generally, the people who are ask this have not started coding, right? So
Mhm.
before going into competitive programming and data structures and algorithm, first of all,
Yeah.
you should start with a programming language and basically cover basic problem solving. Data
Mhm.
structures and algorithm, learning data structures and algorithm, and going into competitive programming is not going to help you with basic problem solving, right? So
Right.
first of all, learn a programming language. If you haven't yet, you can start out with C++. But
Mhm.
if you already know other programming languages, that's fine as well. You can start out with anyone, and then just devote some time, maybe 1 or 2 months, in perfecting your implementation skills with that language. And by that, I mean maybe solve the most easiest problems on CodeChef or Codeforces, or the easiest
Mhm.
problems on HackerRank. Solve those kind of problems and just get your skill up to a certain level where you're sure that given any logic to me, given any kind of algorithm to me, I can
Mhm.
code that up if I do know the logic, right?
Right. Right.
You might have some trouble, thinking up of logic for some problems. You might start facing that. But if you're confident about implementing any logic once you know the logic, then that's
Mhm.
good enough. And then you can start on with learning data structures and algorithm and STL and a lot of advanced stuff.
Mhm.
But of course, the first steps of the roadmap are this: that is, you should get confident with your implementation skill. So first, try to cover that.
Right. You spoke about logics and DSA. Uh,
Right.
Another question from Shad Alam is in similar lines. He
Mm.
says, addressing to you, Nishchay, I have seen in educational contests that you come with logic very early and quickly.
Right.
Although these are ad hoc problems, but
Mm.
I do not. Uh, did this also come with practice?
Yes, this did come with practice. I don't think I was able to come up with the solution this fast. Even in ad hoc problems, as you said, there are some kind of patterns that you can recognize when you solve the amount of questions that I have, right? You start to pick up on patterns that you see in different ad hoc problems. Even if, the definition of ad hoc problems is the ones that do not have any patterns, right? But
Right.
still, there is some kind of a pattern to them as well. Sometimes they deal with the technique of some simple greedy, or they deal with some other kind of technique that you might have seen before, right? And
Mm.
with practice, you also get to know how to solve these ad hoc problems quickly, right? And yes, that is a thing that did come with practice.
Right. So, Ashad, there is no easy way out. You have to
Mm.
practice, as Nisha is saying. Uh,
You can, of course, focus on ad hoc problems if that's what you're facing issue with. You can maybe, just search up ad hoc problems online, or maybe go to the CP3 book. I think they have a lot of problems on ad hoc, and just focus on that section. Just focusing on ad hoc problems is going to help you with those questions better, right? Uh,
mm,
Try to focus on whatever area you are facing a difficulty with. That is usually
right,
the best advice in computer programming.
right. Shubham Vyavhare, I hope I'm not destroying the name. Shubham
Hmm.
asks, I'm practicing problems, but many times I'm stuck on the same problem. How can I overcome this?
You are well stuck on some problems. If you are well, it depends on how you are stuck on the problems, right? Maybe you're not able to come up with the logic that is required for it. Maybe you are not able to implement it. If implementation is a problem, I would advise you to implement some other problems. Go back to that phase of just implementing many problems, so that you get a feel of how to implement any logic that you listen. But if you're stuck on problem logic wise, that is, you
Right,
can't come up with the logic that you have to implement, then you can go to the editorials and see that, and just learn about the solution. That is okay as well.
right.
But make sure that whatever solution you read up about, right, first of all, you implement that on your own, right?
Right.
And make sure to remember that pretty clearly in your mind, so that whenever another problem comes that have a similar solution to the solution that you solved before, using the
Mhm.
editorial, using the tutorial, right, in that next contest you will be able to use the concept that you learned before and apply it on here. So make
Right,
sure that you are remembering the concepts that you're building up while reading the tutorials, right? Make sure to remember them.
right. Talking about being stuck in problems,
Mm.
some people are saying that they get stuck in easy problems and they end up spending a lot of time to get over it. Uh, it's a question from Aman, and I'm getting this question a lot. What's your suggestion on this?
That they're wait a second, let me just see the question. Basically, they are getting stuck on really easy problems, right?
Right, right,
uh,
right,
so in that area, it happened with me as well, I won't call it an easy problem, but in the
right,
last education round, the problem E are not generally easy, but it was an easy problem once you figure out how to model the problem into a graph problem. After that, it was really easy. But
right.
what I did was I modeled the problem into a graph problem, and then I overcomplicated it, right? I started thinking of really hard algorithms like Ford Ferguson algorithm or matching algorithm to solve
Right,
the problem that was remaining, right? And I spent a lot of time on that, and I got stuck on that.
right,
The thing to do here, when you kind of get stuck on a concept and you cannot see yourself getting anything ahead in this concept, right? The best thing to do is to switch problems, right? Reset your brain. Just go to the next problem. Start reading
Yeah.
about that. Start thinking about that. Maybe solve that, right? If you cannot solve the next problem, then go back to the previous problem, maybe in like 10 to 15 minutes, and then see the problem again, right?
Right.
Now your mind has been kind of reset, and your mind basically allows you to think new concepts to the problem. It is not tunnel vision on the concept, on the solution that you were thinking about before, right?
Right.
That
Right.
tunnel
Right.
vision is gone. If the next problem is really hard and you know it, you cannot go to the next problem, or in sometimes in my case there is no next problem, right? Then
Right.
what I do is just listen to some songs or watch a trailer of a movie, just get
Right.
distracted for a short while, and then come back, and that allows my mind to reset and do that problem from a new perspective.
Right. So it's very important to keep your head clear. It doesn't matter if the problem is easy or not. If you're getting stuck on it, it's advisable that you just move on
Hmm.
to the next question so that
Just
your
move on to
mind
the
isn't.
next question.
Yeah.
Your mind isn't stuck on that
Yeah.
single solution that you are spending your time on.
Right. Right. Okay, I have this interesting question. It's a very straightforward question, and I think it's relatable to many people. This is from Kunal Bendalil. He's
Right.
saying that he's from a mechanical engineering background and he wants to work at an IT company. He has 1 year to prepare. What should he do?
He has 1 year to prepare on competitive programming, right?
Yeah,
And
or
so
or
well,
prepare for backing an IT job. At least that's
uh,
what he's saying.
right. Wait a second. I'm from mechanical engineering. I want to work in an IT product company. Right. Regarding competitive programming, you should start, giving contests on Codeforces and CodeChef. That is the kind of plan you do when you have 1 year remaining, right? The kind of you start practicing on Codeforces and CodeChef. You start learning about data structures and algorithm as you proceed. And there is a 5% to 95% rule in competitive programming. That is, you spend 5% time on your study and the rest of the 95% in practice, and that is true, right? Majority of the skill that you have in competitive programming is from experience and isn't from some concepts that you study before and from some book or something, right? So do a lot of practice in these kind of contests.
Mhm.
And aside from competitive programming, you if you have 1 year remaining, you might want to have some projects under your belt so you can showcase them into your resume. So
Mhm.
maybe pick 3 or 4 really good projects, and if not 3 to 4, 1 or 2 really good projects and 1 or 2, I guess, personal projects or something like that, so you can have something great to show in your resume. These does not generally take so much time.
Right.
Once you pick up a, like, let's say I pick a team project on web development where I have to build a lot of stuff, right? uh,
Right.
you basically give a 1 week to it, in concentrated time, like 5 to 6 hours per day, and that project usually gets completed, right?
Right.
And this 1 week is generally discontinuous. When you start the project, you give 3 4 days to build a simple model, and then uh, before the deadline you give 3 4 days again to complete whatever project you have. I'm getting sidetracked from CP a lot, but this is the kind of routine you give to a project, so you
Right.
can pick 2 or 3 projects for that. And NCP, of course, practice a lot. And when it's when there are only 2 3 months remaining in your internship, go dwelling into the classical problems that I talked about. Start dwelling into them and cover those problems, cover the problems that have been asked in interviews before.
Mhm.
This time that you have been spending competing in contests before that will allow you to be fast in coding tests and interview tests. And the time that you are giving in the last 2 3 months to classical problems will allow you to solve will allow you to answer some problems that the interview asks, which are classical problems, because you already know the solution to them, right?
Right.
So reading up the solutions for that is important as well, because many interviews generally ask classical questions which have been asked many times before as well.
That was an excellently given goal-oriented set of advice, and I hope that works for you. 1 year is not much
one
less of
year
a
is
time.
1 year is a lot of time on which you can
Yeah,
prepare on, right? You can also there are if you want to complete your education in like computer programming, we have batches on an academy as well, which are spanning 1 year, right? And you
yeah,
can also pick those up so that you can completely, complete your study on computer programming in terms of interview preparations, in placement
right.
or internships.
Okay. Ayush Kumar has asked, he's saying that he is not too great at mathematics. And
Hmm.
how important is maths for CPA? And could you please suggest some resources for the same?
Regarding mathematics, I do get this asked a lot. You do not have to be really great at mathematics to be able to perform good in computer programming. I've seen a lot of people who are not good at mathematics at all, but they have developed skill while they're doing computer programming, right? Now, a lot of skills that are involved in computer programming have a lot of similarities to mathematics. So
Mhm.
if you have been great in mathematics before, right, that kind of abstract thinking and logical thinking will help you in computer programming as well. But you
Right.
can build those skills up from the ground as well. You can start, doing computer programming, and uh, the questions that dwell solely on mathematics, like number theory or computational geometry, problems like that, you can study up those concepts, in a computer programming setting. You do not have to go back to the JE era to learn those concepts again, like trigonometry or something. You can learn those concepts in computer programming settings as well, right? There are many courses on an academy related to number theory and computational geometry. I have taken both of these courses, actually, one course on number theory and one course on computational geometry. And
Mhm.
both of these are mathematics oriented, but of course, we see these topics from a computer programming setting, right? We do not see these topics from when we were preparing mathematics from the JA period. Those kind of mathematics is not generally required in computer programming a lot.
Right. Uh, Raj Saxena wants to know how to become a master in bit masking. He
How to
knows the
become a
basics of it.
master in bit masking? Even though I knew the basics of bit masking concept, but at the same time, I'm able to solve CP problems on bit masking concept. Well, I have been always been great at bit masking. Well, first of all, you should know all of the concepts of bit masking, right?
Right.
I think in the CP handbook book that I mentioned about,
Mhm.
there's, I think, the 10th chapter or the ninth or 8th chapter, somewhere along that, is purely big focused on bit masking, right? Read that up. There are a lot of concepts and a lot of simple tips and tricks that you can use while solving bit masking problems, and understanding the logic of that help you build some basic logic that you can use in contest problems as well whenever you see a bit masking problem. Of course, practice here helps as well. If you are bad at something, you have to
Mhm.
practice more on that, right? So if you're bad at bit masking, pick up a lot of bit masking problems and solve them. And yeah, that's about it. Theory plus practice. You have to study that on your own, from the CP handbook, or maybe pick up some course and then apply that in practice, and practice a lot. Bit
Mhm.
masking specifically requires a lot more practice than study. I say the theory to practice percentage in bit masking is more like 1% to 99%, right?
Mhm.
Similar with dynamic programming. So bit masking and dynamic programming are two such subjects which require you to practice a lot, and basically build up your experience through problems rather than through studying.
Right. So practice is the key. More practical implementation than theoretical understanding. I'm sure both are
Right.
important, but practice is the
Hmm.
key in this case. We'll take a couple of more questions from the live section, and then we'll move into the questions that have been already sent in. This one is from Jatin KR15 or Jatin KR. I'm not really sure how to say the name. The question might be a little controversial, but here's how it goes. He asks, is it fine to read editorial after 40-50 minutes if solution is not building up for a problem?
No, and that's not controversial. You can, of course, read up an editorial whenever you want. I think many people, take this religiously, as in like they try to, not see the editorial up until they have spent 2 or 3 days on it, and they feel guilty if they see the editorial before.
Right, right,
But
right.
that's fine. If sometimes, like if I see a problem and I cannot think anything about it, I go to the
Right.
editorial right away in like 5 minutes. That's all right as well. Generally what I do is think about the problem up until I cannot think anything else regarding it. When I am out of concepts, I just directly go to the editorial, right? That might be
Right.
5 minutes in some cases, it might be 1 hour, it might be one day. The time varies, but
Right.
that is a general idea you should have in mind. That is, up until you are out of concepts, up until you have some kind of concept that you can still work on regarding this problem, you should work on that and try to see what is going to happen. That will just act as an exercise to your brain. Even if that solution is really bad and isn't going to be applied in this problem at all, that
Mhm.
solution might be useful in some other competitive programming problem, right?
Right.
So try to, try to work on any concept that you have in mind. But once you're out of concepts, go to the editorial.
So it's not quoting blasphemy to read editorial uh,
Before the given time, right?
before
It's not
given
bad.
time.
Hmm.
Right. You got it from Nishchay Manwani, so you can just go ahead and do your
Uh,
thing. Uh,
Right.
Next question is from Rohit Karki.
Hmm.
I'm a first year student and I have C language in first sem and DS Algo in third sem.
Hmm.
Is it good to start with C or C++, then DS Algo before college academy?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Why does he consider starting with C?
He did not mention that.
Oh, right.
He just
So
asked if he wants
I'm
to.
first year student. He has the C language in first sem, right?
Right.
You should start out with C++ anyways, right? C and C++ are not so different. You should start out with C++ and you can still manage C, or you can start with C and go to C++. These two have so little differences between them that it doesn't really even matter, right? There is just the difference of input and output, and there is some difference of the header files that you have to include. Other than that, they're basically the same, right? And also one other thing that I want to advise to the beginners that are here right now, that do not think so much about what language you have to pick at first, right? You can pick any language and start out with that. Do not spend so much time in thinking about what language to pick, right? Because once you have enough expertise in a single language, right, switching languages is more easy than when you do not have expertise in any one language, right? People might think that if you have expertise in Python, that then it will be difficult to switch to C++ because you're most comfortable with Python, right? But it's actually the opposite. The more comfortable you get with Python, the more easier it is to switch, right? It's a little weird, but that's how it is in these kind of programming languages. So do not worry so much about what language you have to start with first, and start learning C++ and also start learning DS Algo. You can rely on the courses from your college as well, but I would advise you to you know start learning C++ and DS Algo before your college courses start.
Right.
That would be more beneficial to you.
Uh, what was the language you started with, Mr.
I started with C++. That was the language that our senior Manan Gupta advised us.
Is it still your favorite language?
Uh, that is the language I mostly code in competitive programming. Sometimes I switch to Python. Sometimes I switch to other languages. But yes, I would say that is my most used language right now. I do not have a favorite language per se, but
Right.
yes, that is the most common one I use.
Yeah, most of the top coders,
Hmm.
on the CodeChef platforms use C++. It seems to be the language of choice for the
Right.
best programmers.
Right. That is because once you get high up in competitive programming,
Yeah.
then it really starts to matter whether you're coding in Python or C++. This would happen around the time maybe when you're a 5 star or a 6 star. Before that, you can code in any language and it wouldn't matter, right?
Right.
But once you reach that certain like level, then you start to notice some differences among languages. First of all, the STL of C++ is I think more comfortable to use with than the STL of different languages, right? Python have also some data inbuilt data structures, but those are not as comfortable to use as the inbuilt data structures given by C++, right?
Right.
And there are some differences regarding the memory requirement and the time requirement. Python is really, really slow compared to C++. I think C++ is the most, the fastest programming language among the most commonly used ones.
Mhm.
So that is why most advanced competitive programmers use that language so as to save even a zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.2
Right.
seconds from their time.
Um, so in case, guys, you guys are wondering which is the language, most efficient language to be programming in or taking part in CP, maybe
Right.
you have your answer.
Hmm.
We're going to go back to the questions that has been before the episode. This one is by Atharv Bharange. How did
Right.
you decide priorities when it came to college studies and CP?
Oh, I didn't. I have, listened this question from some other people as well. But personally, I have never felt the pressure from college. Right. Generally, the college studies are much more concentrated than CP. CP is a elongated process. Put your time in it week by week. Right. You have 4 contests during this week. You give all of those 4 contests, and then you practice 10 or 20 questions on your own as well. You do that, like every week. But
Right.
like college studies, those are only relevant when you have to submit an assignment. I generally start 5 or 6 hours before assignment deadline, or when you have an end sem. Maybe you can if you're really want to perform well, you can start a 1 week before the before your exams, or I generally start only 1 day before the exam or on the day of the exam. That
Right.
is all right as well. And let's be honest, in this online mode of education, you do not even have to study for some courses, because well, that has been taken care of with this online mode. So
Right.
I never felt that amount of pressure from college. But if you are feeling, like real pressure coming from your college, and and you want to perform in CP as well, you have
Mhm.
to decide your time on what you're giving on college and what you're giving on CP. Just divide your time, and mainly give your time on CP, and schedule college studies when it is relevant. When you are having an NSEMS, abandon CP. College studies is more important, and college
Right.
studies is most important in your first year. Once your first year is over, whatever CPI you have, maybe if you built an 8 or built a 9, it
Mhm.
won't go below 7 after your second year or third year, right?
Right.
And most of the companies have the CPI cutoff as 7. So 7 plus is
Mhm.
okay, 7.5 is really good, and 8 plus is perfect, right? You do not have to think about college studies much if you already
Mhm.
have a CPI above 8.
Right.
Hmm.
Excellent. Abhishek Kumar has a two-part question. The first one is
Right.
the best language to start with. If you still recommend C++, then the answer has
Yes.
already been given. And the second
Right.
part is tips for ICPC when there are many good competitors in your college.
Right. This is a problem that I face as well. There are a lot of good competitors in my college, and well, the only advice that I can give you is, first of all, practice well and prepare well for ICPC. You do not
Right.
have to learn many data structures and algorithms for, qualifying to the on-site round. You can, of course, to qualify to the on-site round, you only have to do the first 4 or 5 questions, and the logic used on those type of problems is the same type of logic that is used in Codeforces contests and CodeChef contests. So you can
Mhm.
just practice from there and apply the experience that you've built there in ICPC online rounds, right?
Right.
And another tip that I want to share is, learn about what regionals are the other teams filling out, right?
Right.
Like in my case, the best team in our college that was considered past year, like they were filling out, I think, Amrita and Kanpur. So
Mhm.
you do not want to fill those, right? You want to fill the other two so that you have a higher chance of actually qualifying to the answer round. So just make a list of what are the better teams than you that you consider in your college, and try to find out what regionals they are filling in.
So keep your friends close and keep your rivals closer.
Right.
Sanskar Agarwal asks, how does CP complement product or app development? What do you have to say to that?
Uh, I would say, and this is a like I wouldn't say they complement each other that well. I mean, they are quite different fields, right? If computer programming is, well, philosophy, then product or app development is like inorganic chemistry. Just an
Right.
analogy, but that's how different they are. So I don't think they complement each other very well. Like product app development requires you to know a lot of have a lot of knowledge about different languages and have a lot of experience in implementing those type of stuff. And computer programming requires you to have a lot of knowledge about computer science
Right.
fundamentals and know how to implement those kind of stuff. So both of these don't go hand in hand. Of course,
Mhm.
if you do have knowledge in computer programming and you are really good in computer programming, then it is easy for you to go into product app development, right? Product
Right.
app development is easy to transfer to from computer
Right.
programming, but
Right.
the converse is not true.
Right. Okay, I'm just going to pick up one question from the comment section, the live comment section, because I think it might be relevant to anyone who is working on C++. Pseudoman asks,
Right.
can you recommend some good C++ projects to display in my resume?
I can't think of many. There aren't many C++ projects that you can do, right?
Mhm.
I would advise you to actually read some other languages, like maybe
Right.
cover up Python and Django, so that you can do a
Right.
web development project, or
Right.
maybe learn Android Studio, so that you can do so that you can do app development. The only kind
Right.
of good projects that you can display in your resume from C++ are simpler projects, like a simple game that you might have developed, or a simple interface for some software, or maybe some simple script that you have written up, right? I had a project, a simple project, like where I was just downloading many codes from Codeforces and checking them with a certain code to check if they were uh, plagiarized or not, right? This was a
Right.
simple script that I wrote, and I did put it in my resume as a project. But this is not a really big project. It can be done in like one night, and that's the kind of projects that you can do with only C++, right?
Right.
One of my friends also did a project in only C++. What he did was, he had a lot of computer programming templates, right? He had implemented his own segment tree, he had implemented his own square root tree, a lot of different data structures he has implemented on his own.
Right.
So he just separated them into different files and included a header file and called it a project. So now his project has a name of implementation of various data structures used in computational geometry or number theory or range queries, something like that.
Right. So I guess it's better to diversify your prowess in different languages than just
Hmm.
bank on C++ and focusing on
Right.
projects on that.
Because there aren't many great projects that you can use in C++, right?
Right. Cool. We are almost out of time here. We'll just take one more question from the community, and then we're gonna
Right.
have to wrap it up. Uh, Rahul
Hmm.
Ranjan asks, "Is it okay if I code in Python and not comfortable in C++?"
Yeah, that is fine. As I said, in when you're starting out computer programming and when you are progressing, it doesn't really matter which language you choose, right?
Right.
You can start out with Python, and as you
Right.
get more comfortable with Python, when you are an advanced computer programming, and when you are started to feel the shortcomings of Python, when you are at that stage, right? then it will be really easy for you to switch to C++. That is a really advanced stage that I'm talking about, when you start to feel the shortcomings of Python. At that point, you are well versed with coding and well versed with the different kind of design patterns per se that you use in competitive programming, and it will be easy to switch to other languages. So do not worry, it is okay to code in Python currently, and develop a sense of the logic, right? You are not culminating expertise in the language that you're chosen. You're not getting more expert in Python as you're doing competitive programming, but you are getting more expert in data structures and algorithm, and you're getting more expert in finding out solutions of any problems, finding out the logics for problems. That is what you want to develop an expertise in while doing competitive programming.
Thank you so much for this session, Nishchay. I think this is one of the most informative and academic sessions of Weekends with Champions. I hope everyone would take home a lot of valuable information from this little chat we had. Before leaving, Nishchay, if there is anything, any piece of advice that you would want to give out to the upcoming coders who are looking forward to you, looking up to you, any word of advice?
Any word of advice? Well, keep practicing. Compete in all of the contests. That is one of the main advice. Tonight there is a contest on Codeforces global round. Of course, participate in that as well, and just practice in a lot of contests and try to enjoy competitive programming. You're not doing it for your internship test. You're not doing it for your placement test. You're doing this for your own. At least I do this for my own. Like it, I just if I have to describe my CP journey from whence I started, I would describe it as fun, because that's what I've been having. It's like an hobby for me. So try to take it as a hobby and just try to find fun in it. And believe me, there is a lot of fun to be have if you are interested in this kind of stuff.
That was Nishchay Manwani for you on Weekends with Champions. Let's say goodbye. We had a lovely time. Thank you everyone for joining in. Goodbye, Nisha.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me.